Hello everybody and welcome to the CCNP version 2 switch exam for the 300-115 exam. My name is Rob Riker and I will be your instructor for these videos. For those of you that have never ever taken a course with me before, I am currently a CCNP in routing and switching. I have a CCNA in security, and I am also a VMware certified professional in 5.5 in data center virtualization. I also have the VCA, but that's not quite as cool as the VCP. I've been in the industry for about 5.5 years, 5.5, depending on how you want to look at it. If you want to get in touch with me, you can do so by hitting me up on my email here. That comes to my phone as well as my web-based access to it. If you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to reach out to me via my email. I'm also on Twitter at RikerRob. If you would like to connect with me via LinkedIn, I am more than happy to do so. Just send me a request. You have my email address in case you need it, and you can send it towards that. And I also have just recently have started a blog on WordPress.com highlighting some of my journey through VMware and Cisco. I only have a couple of posts up there so far, but it's a start with some things, so you can definitely check that out. I don't know if you noticed this over here, but I happen to have a picture of my home lab, in case you were wondering what it looked like. And nothing to call home about, but it does give me the flexibility of teaching all of the technologies that are available for the CCNP version 2 exam. So what we're going to be taking a look at here on the right, let me zoom in really quick on that so it'll make it easier for you guys to see if you're watching this maybe on a mobile device. Well, let me wipe my screen off real quick. And so what we have here, it's nothing really that extraordinary. I have, I'll check mark all the devices we're going to be using in our environment as we go through here, but we have the two 3550 Cisco switches, and they are running 12244 SE6, which is the highest level code I can get for them. I have a 48-port 3750 switch and a 24-port 3750 switch that I have available to play with, and I will be using them as we go through the implementations of our technologies as we go through here. The box below it, I don't know if you can see that or not, but this is my IBM ESXi server. So if you ever see me doing anything VMware or doing any pulling up vSphere client, that is the host for my environment. It's got 64 gigs of RAM on it, and it's got 2 Xeon processors in case anybody was interested in knowing. These 4 routers up here at the top are the 4 routers we're going to be using for our remote connectivity as we go through our deployment. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using these guys as reachability testing. So as we go through here, what I'm planning on doing is we go through the core switching for VLANs, trunking, Ether channels, VTP, things like that. Once we get into spanning tree, we'll be taking a look at getting these guys connected to the environment, and then we'll be able to run dynamic routing with the switches and see how that would work with layer 3 switching and actually have replication. And I've got a handful of loopbacks configured on those devices, so we'll be able to play with them as we go along. So that is the topology, or sorry, that is the rack. The topology is relatively simple. It's just going to be these 4 switches connected to each other. 2 connections to every other switch. So switch 1 is going to have 2 connections to switch 2, 3, and 4. Switch 2 is going to have 2 connections to switch 1, 3, and 4, so on and so forth. And I'm utilizing that as our connectivity, as we'll be taking a look at different access ports and what happens if you do this, what happens if you do that, and going through a variety of different scenarios. So what I'm going to show you guys now is going to be the blueprint that we're going to be following along, and this is our Bible. This, and if you don't use a Bible, I do apologize ahead of time. This is going to be our Cisco Bible. This is what we're going to follow as we go through our deployment or the technologies and stuff like that as we go through, and hopefully you guys will find the value in this and see where I'm coming from with everything. But basically, this is the exam code, and when you go to when you get ready to go schedule your CCNP implementing Cisco IP Switch Networks exam, the 300-115 exam. If you guys are interested in doing that, that's where you would go to do that. Go to the Pearson VUE test site and schedule your exam, assuming you have a CCO account to do so with. And then you'll be able to log in and get all that situated. The last time I took the exam was about 2 years ago, and it was $150, I believe, $200. I think it was $200, if I remember, and that's U.S. So I don't know what it would be for people that are outside the U.S. So, and you'll have a combination of both multiple choice, single, and multiple answer. I don't remember if there's any drag and drop. And you will have a couple of labs where you actually have to go in and configure some stuff. So that's why we're going to be covering both the theory and the implementation of everything that's on the blueprint. So now, what I specialize in is routing and switching. That's where my expertise lies. So we're going to be taking a deep dive look at switches, and not just switches from the simplicity fact that these guys are what you would normally use day in and day out, but I don't know where I'm going with that, actually. I spend almost all day long on switches, so this is where my expertise lays. And for those of you that haven't ever watched a video, or maybe this is you're watching this video first, I am currently preparing for and have already taken the CCIE Routing and Switching V5 lab exam. So I'm very, very, very well versed in all the switching technologies, and we'll be hitting those in detail as we go through and make sure that we understand every piece and part to it. I've got a very, very thoroughly put together lab slides in Notepad from all of my preparation for my CCIE and stuff like that I will be uploading to I'll be putting up in the cloud, and then once in the description, it'll be actually in the description, it'll say download documents here. You'll be able to click on that and download the slide deck for this. So rest assured that will be coming out sooner than later. Now, from a layer 2 technologies perspective, the way that this is laid out and the blueprint is not how we're going to actually be covering it. We're going to be covering the content from a core functionality forward. So VLANs, trunking, Ether channels, BTP, and then we'll take a look at some of the enhancements. Because SDM templates, managing the MAC address table, error disabled discovery or recovery, CDP, LLDP, UDLD, those are all enhancements or things you can configure to optimize. So they're not things that we're going to be hitting out of the gate, but we will be covering those as we go along. We'll also take a look at a deep dive look at spanning tree, which I find funny that people have. This is like one of the biggest hang-ups people have with inside of the environment, the spanning tree. They don't understand it. So we're going to take a look at how spanning tree works in detail. We're going to run through the characteristics of how it actually works and all that good stuff that goes along with it, and go from there. We'll take a look at span and RSpan for doing switch port analyzer. Basically, that gives you the ability to mirror traffic from one port to another port and plug your computer into that port and basically get mirror all the traffic so you can run like Wireshark on it and see what's going on the wire. One of the benefits to having two 3750s with a stacking cable is I can actually demo a stacking situation with you, so that we can take the 3750 48 port and a 3750 24 port and actually bond them together to make it look like one big switch, which is what they consider to be chassis virtualization and aggregation. Now, I'll run through some scenario, or through, not scenarios, I won't be able to demo them, but I'll explain some different technologies to you, like VSS for the 6500 and 4500 series switches, where StackWise and Flex Connect for like the 2960 and the 3750 come into play, and how that would work. And then I will lightly touch on the Nexus side with a virtual port channel and kind of give you guys an overview of how that works. And it's similar in ways to the way the VSS works. So we'll take a look at how that would work and the different ways you can to work with that. Then I'll be taking a look at infrastructure security, where we'll talk about DHCP snooping, IP source guard, dynamic ARP inspection, port security, private VLANs, and storm control. Some pretty relatively easy topics to cover, in my opinion. Stuff that you're going to be using day to day in production anyway, so that you should know them how they work. We're going to take a look at AAA with TACX and Radius and how that would get configured and how the operations work behind the scenes. Then we'll take a look at infrastructure services like HSRPV, RRP, GLBP, and that will pretty much wrap it up. So in the grand scheme of things, there's not a lot here to cover. And I say that in a very, very modest manner because of the fact that you might be coming from CCNA and going, holy man, that's a lot of content, where I'm saying not so much. There's really, I joked around, the last time I went to go take the CCA lab exam was just a couple of months ago. I came very, very close to passing. And I'm actually waiting right now I'm trying to save up money to go take my third attempt here very, very soon. What was actually kind of funny is me and a couple other guys that were waiting outside, because I took my exam in Raleigh, North Carolina, both times. And it was kind of funny. There's one gentleman outside, two other people that were taking route switch with me. And one of the guys said, "You mean it's routing and some switching?" And it's spot on, because 95% of the exam is routing. So this is probably the biggest focus to switch that I've seen for this, and we're going to be running through this exam in detail. By the time we're all said and done, you will be a rock star on switching. So, and I hope that it comes out very, very easily for you guys. Like I said, if you have any questions at all, your best bet is to reach out to me, because I can very, very easily walk you guys through whatever problems you're having. If you're having a problem with whatever, feel free to reach out to me. I'm this is what I do day in and day out. So I'm an on-site consultant with the company that I work for right now. I'm constantly having people walk up to me and saying, "Hey, how does is this a good solution for this?" and stuff like that. So, there's a question: is the hardware you're using is actually hardware? You're not doing anything in regards to a virtualized layer 2. That is correct. Everything is physical hardware. And follow-up question to that: how much did your lab cost you? That's a good question. I honestly don't remember. The 3750s, I think I picked up for $200 a piece on eBay. Everything I bought, everything that's in that picture you see, I'm actually looking at my rack at the moment. Everything you see on your picture there was bought off of eBay over the course of probably the last 3 years or so. The most expensive item in that rack is actually the server. I think I spent $500 on that. But yeah, that's you could probably get 4 switches for 3750 V1s, where they have 16 gigs or 16 megs of flash. You could probably pick those up for about $100 a piece. Yeah, and there's another question: 3750 V1. No, the Cisco came out with a couple different versions of the 3750. The 3750 V1, which is like 12.225 code. The V2, which is 12.255 code. 32 megs of flash, where you can run 15 code on the V2s. And then you have the 3750X platform, which allows you to run. There's actually the way that they there's 48. If you get a 48 port 3750X, the port density is actually pushed together a little bit better, and you can actually slide in a 4-port module network. It's an NM module, which allows you to run 2 10 gig ports or 2 1 gig ports. So you can have 10 gigabit uplinks from your 3750s. As a matter of fact, a lot of customers I work with now are actually migrating away from the 3750s to the 3850 platform, because the 3750 V1s are end of support, and so are the V2s. They might have been end of support, they might be end of life soon, but those devices are coming up end of support, they're end of life, end of support coming soon. So if you're running V1s, you're going to know it's a V1 by looking at it, because if you give me just a minute, let me walk over to my rack. The V1s just say Catalyst 3750. If it's a V2, it'll say 3750 V2. If it's a 3750X, it'll have an X next to the number. So that's how you would know what you're dealing with. Now, what I recommend running on getting the V2s, if you can swing it, I would buy the V2s. And the reason why I say that is because then, if you have the ability to put 15 code on them, I would run with the 15 code, because if you get the newer platforms, you won't be able to run things like IPv6 first hop security on the switches, but you'll be able to do some of the newer features that are out there, like ER span is a big one that's especially in the data center. So you'll be able to do that. But that's pretty much what it boils down to. And that's just, like I said, our lab is what it is. I think you guys will be in pretty good shape as we go through here. Like I said, if you have any questions, reach out to me anytime, day or night. I know you guys sometimes are, 12 hours ahead of me. You might be in the India or Pakistan. I get a lot of feedback from that region of the world. And I mean, realistically speaking, it doesn't matter where you are. If you're watching these videos and you're gaining information from them, more power to you. At the end of the day, that's what these videos are for, is to help you out. And I know it's been a long time coming for this stuff to get put out, but I've been very, very busy lately with different things, and I'm just now starting to get time to do this and stuff like that. So that's what's going on, and going from there. So as we go through here, we'll be able to cover the content in a logical manner. So we're going to build it up and out as we go along and go from there. So I hope this has been informative for you. I want to thank you for viewing.